Okay, the last big piece of news it's a very German American topic here in a German American show is South Korea, Bjorn, just
Oh
got
my God.
themselves a great
What
new
the
coach.
I said I said on my group chat as if Son's season hasn't been going poorly enough. It's going to probably
So
be
for the
playing
uninitiated,
left back.
South Korea, there's this great German former player who was a great player in his day, but in his retirement has essentially been like the music man. He's been like selling, how would you say? He's like a con man. The late great Grant Wall called him a con man pretty much. He's just a guy who's really cheered, knows how to sell himself. He just someone just bought the Kool-Aid a little bit, and that someone is the South Korean FA. They hired Gus Hiddink in the early aughts, and he was a big hero there. I think they built a statue of him. He's a legend. And they're like, let's do it again. Let's get another European super legend like Gus Hiddink. Let's
Juergen
get
Klinsmann.
Juergen Klinsmann. California Clinzy is going to be flying 30 times a year to Korea, apparently, like he did when he was the German coach, which is bonkers to me. Remember when he was coach Germany, but he still lived in California?
Yeah.
Much to the chagrin of people like Franz Beckenbauer. Anyway, Juergen Klinsmann's over in South Korea.
If he's not moving to Germany, he certainly is not going to move to Korea.
I just want to be a fly in the wall of that meeting. Like his record is not good.
Who says it and everybody's like, "Oh my God, great idea."
I know, like his record is bad.
In years, no one's hired him in years. He must be super motivated and great now and ready.
Let's do the rundown.
He'll be so well rested for this job.
Let's do the Juergen Klinsmann rundown. So I remember back when he lived in California, he had a company called Soccer Solutions. It was a soccer marketing company that you could hire to solve your problems. Toronto FC, who struggled in the beginning of their MLS days, hired Soccer Solutions and Juergen Klinsmann for a full technical analysis to fix their club. And Juergen Klinsmann's analysis was hire Aaron Winter, the Dutch coach. And then the Dutch coach showed up. They played a 4-3-3, and it was the worst. And it was the worst season in Toronto history. In fact, probably in most clubs' history in this league. Then after that, he got hired to be the German national team coach, which he did a good job at.
That went pretty well. But
we learned later, Bjorn.
Jogi Löw was his assistant.
And essentially, the story goes that because his mentor is Bertie Vogts, and Bertie Vogts did this abridged coaching license 6-week course that his buddies could do. So Juergen did that, and then that's where he met that's where he brought in his buddy Joachim Löw. Joachim Löw was essentially his ace in the hole. He was a secret tactician he had. Anyway, so that's what happened with Germany.
And he won the World Cup. Won the World Cup after Juergen left, and then he went to the U.S.
Well, then he did Bayern München first.
Oh, which total
for 9 months.
Total hubris. Why would you do that?
And he was the worst Bayern München coach of the last 15 years. You know how Bayern München's been invincible? They've been invincible since he left. They were very invincible under Clinton. They were like fourth place.
Highly invincible.
Highly invincible. And then what's his face? Philip Lahm criticized him in his book about being like, he didn't do any tactics or anything. We had to weave the tunnel out before the game. And yeah, Philip Lahm criticized him. Then in U.S. Soccer's brilliance, they spent $3 million a year to have him be his coach.
And the technical director.
Which he
famously hired that guy who ripped the phone book for. Have you heard about this? This is a great. Matt Doyle went nuts about this, and rightfully so. Juergen is not so much a tactical mastermind as Philip Lahm pointed out. He's not like really too concerned with the details of how to set up or whatever, but he is all about motivation and positive thinking. And so he brought in this motivational speaker for the U.S. men's national team, and who was talking about strength and leadership. And to illustrate his mental fortitude, he ripped a phone book in half in front of the team, and which is not a sign of any kind of strength. It's just a trick. Like you and I can learn to do that. It's not. It's trick, like it's like it's just a technique. If you do it a certain way, like anybody can learn how to rip a phone book. And so that was in the early days already. His charlatanery was on full display.
So I want to run that Beispiel, that scenario. So you rip the phone book. I'm U.S. national team captain Michael Bradley. Coach?
What
Hey,
the
Coach?
fuck? Yeah, yes, Michael. Yes. Are you feeling inspired, Michael?
Can
What
I
do you
ask?
think? Would you like to say something?
Yes. How is this applicable in our game against Costa Rica in 20 minutes?
You have to be strong, Michael. You have to be strong. Michael,
Yes?
that is not a good question. You play right back today.
I'm sorry. Thanks for replacing my dad. I appreciate it. Okay, so that was that. So that was the and I will say, up until 2014 World Cup, it was decent. It wasn't great. There was that big article in 2013. Now there was clear factions between the German Americans, the non-German Americans of it. But the 2014 World Cup went well for the U.S. However, he also hired Bertie Folks as a consultant, essentially. Like, he hires coaches to coach for him. And then when Bertie Folks left, from 2014 to 2016 was some of the worst sort of U.S. men's national teams we've seen.
And then he got fired because he wasn't gonna, and Bruce Arena tried to rescue and couldn't.
Right, and then he went to Hertha Berlin.
As a coach, as a
yes.
Sport. No, but he was like Sportdirektor or something, right?
So this is the last story. Didn't go well either. Rundown, the Juergen Klinsmann charlatan rundown. A guy named Lars Windhorst put 400 million euros into Hertha Berlin. And apparently we've learned later that Lars Windhorst is also kind of a con man too. I think he didn't really have the money. Anyway, so then Lars Windhorst put his friend Juergen Klinsmann as like a consultant or something, or some sport director. He's on the board, head of the board, or some made-up title for another con man. And then Juergen Klinsmann fired the goalkeeper coach because he criticized his son's work ethic, and then fired the head coach and replaced the head coach with himself halfway through the season, where he coached, I think, 3 games.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, and he coached 3 games, and he quit via Facebook because he didn't have a proper coaching license. And then the club had to lie to the Bundesliga about his coaching license or something. And he went
anyway, all this just to say, what the fuck is going on in South Korea? There's nobody else?
And now we bamboozled the new FA. This is like a true crime. This is 100% a true crime.
Why are they... The question that we don't know the answer to is why? How did this happen? If you had asked me, will Klinsmann ever coach again? I would have said never. Who is going to hire him? I mean, maybe his children. He would coach. He can coach his like family members.
Well, he pitched himself for the Tottenham job. He didn't get it, and there were rumors he was going to coach, I think, Venezuela or Ecuador. I think it was Ecuador. It also didn't happen. I think he's applying. Like, he's pushing himself out there. And I guess South Korea lost. They lost. They lost that battle.
Someone, Tom is saying someone spiked the kimchi.
Yeah, someone spiked the kimchi. That was just the Schnitzel Boys video on YouTube. Thanks for joining us. If you like that one, we've got a couple other ones right over here. And if you like that one, don't be afraid to subscribe, like, and ring that bell.
It's the Schnitzel Boys